welcome to week 2 of the Migration Summit, the second edition of the Migration Summit. I'm very, very excited to welcome you all to this session. But first, let's just quickly introduce the summit, and then I'll pass it over to Emmanuel, Boniface, and Collete for them to introduce their session. So the Migration Summit, organized by the MIT Refugee Action Hub, Namal and Karam Foundation, is a month-long global convening designed to build bridges between diverse communities of learners, displaced people, universities, companies, social enterprises, among many others, around the challenges and opportunities for refugee and migrant communities. This year, we're exploring the theme co-creating pathways for learning, livelihood, and dignity through virtual and in-person events around the world. So before introducing Emmanuel, just telling you all, in case you like the song that you were listening, it was composed by members of the organizing committee of the Migration Summit, Marika Slovin and Patricia Bubu, who both co-wrote this song about Patricia's journey. So yeah, without further ado, Emmanuel, thank you so much for being here, and I'll pass it over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Camila. It's really great to be here. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on which part of the world that you are, of course. My name is Emmanuel Ushindi. But before I introduce today's speakers and also today's topic and a bit of background about myself, I just want to give a quick note of thanks to the Migration Summit and the entire team for creating this platform, a platform to have reflective and engaging conversations, specifically around people affected by displacement and the institutions or individuals that are working in these communities. From the previous sessions that I've joined, which have been amazing, I believe the summit understands the power of narrative. I know narrative has this unique power of determining what's going on, what lies ahead, and also what needs to be done. And I think we can only have a clear narrative if we get these kinds of opportunities to have conversations. So big kudos to the Migration Summit team. All right, so as I said, I'm Emmanuel. I'll be also allowing the other team to introduce themselves. But for me, I'm currently joining you guys from Italy. However, I was formerly a resident of Dzaleka refugee camp in Malawi. That's where I spent close to a decade of my life in the camp due to the instabilities in Dzaleka and instabilities in my home country, the DRC. But through an amazing educational pathway that was shared with us in Dzaleka, I was offered a scholarship to do my master's. Currently, I'm at Sapienza University of Rome. In my first year, the courses are great. They're hectic, of course, but as they say, pressure makes diamonds. I'm also the co-founder of a refugee-led nonprofit called Advocacy Training and Education Hub, ATE Hub, 8 Hub, in short, if you would like to call it that. And through international partners, we are offering refugees and host communities flexible online learning opportunities, employment pathways, and advocate for their rights. And we currently operate in Dzaleka refugee camp. I'll share the link in the chat about our website if you'd like to learn more about the organization, and it will also direct you to the various social media platforms. But that's pretty much about myself. I want to also call on my co-founder, Dikonzo Akili, to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dikonzo, and I work with Emmanuel. We work here with colleagues, and a little bit about my background. I come from the Democratic Republic of Congo and found myself a refugee 12 years ago, and I was living in a refugee camp in Malawi. Malawi is where our organization, ATE Hub, that Emmanuel has just introduced, is. So I lived there as a refugee for 12 years, and there's a scholarship, the same scholarship that Emmanuel is in. I'm also now calling from Italy. I'm in Milan, continuing my education, pursuing my bachelor's degree at Bocconi University. And I'm so very much excited to be here. And the initiative, when I was told about the Migration Summit, so I was very, very happy to hear kind of initiative where refugees can share their experience and talk about their pathway. I'm so excited to hear.
Thank you so much, Dikonzo. I think Dikonzo and myself will be playing more of a role of moderators. I think the guys who are in Zaleka, Boniface and Collete, will be the ones sharing their stories, experiences, recommendations, and ideas. I would like to start with Collete. If you can give us like a brief intro about yourself and also the initiative that you are doing in Zaleka.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Hello, everyone. As mentioned earlier, my name is Collete Honore. A Congolese by nationality, currently residing in Malawi, Zaleka refugee camp. I'm running a project. It's a chicken blower project, and I have colleagues that I'm running the project with. The idea of running this project came up last year in 2022, and that came up because we had a lot of women dying during birth, and they were leaving behind little infants who did not have anybody to be able to afford the lactogen and everything that they needed. So as youth in the community, we thought it would be very important if we were to take a step and help with the little that we had. Therefore, we came up with the idea of starting up a business that would help us generate income in order to be able to provide for the little infants. Therefore, in January 2023, we started the Chicken Broiler project, of which we were selling, and the profit that we get, we buy the lactogen for these little ones. And of course, it's still the first experience. You know, first experience comes with so many challenges and difficulties. However, that did not push us down. We are still trying to find other projects and businesses that we can come up with in order to support these little ones. Because it's not just the chicken broiler that we want to continue with. We want to do anything that's going to help us to generate income. That wasn't just for, the project's aim is not just for supporting the little infants, but it's also one of the ways to empower young women and men in the community, to let them know that they are more than just what they see. Being a refugee is not a limitation to what you can do. And the feeling of being useful makes us feel happy. I call myself a person of the people because I feel like I'm here for a purpose, and I can be able to make an impact in one person's life, and that person makes an impact in another person's life. So it's like a chain of people that are connected to one person. It's not just one person. You can see one person acting, but the impact is huge. It's more than you can imagine. So I would like to mention the names of my other partners. One is Hassan Chileu, the other one is Shimimana Michael. I think that's more of the projects that I'm doing right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I think we'll dive much more deeper into what you're doing and also have the questions that I've prepared for you. Boniface, would you mind introducing yourself and also the project? I know you prepared a presentation, so would you like me to share my screen, or were you able to do that?
Yeah, I think could be better for me to share myself, but it's okay if you share. Don't worry, you can share it. I'll be fine.
No worries, you can go ahead and share.
I just
but
gave
I'm disabled here, I cannot share.
I just gave you permissions, Boniface, so I think you should be able now.
Yeah, all right, now I can see it. All right, I think you can see now. Hello?
It's charging.
Can you see my screen, please?
Yeah. We can.
Yes, we can.
All right. So thank you very much to give me this opportunity to speak about myself and my organization. My name is Boniface Balenga. I'm a Congolese by nationality living at a refugee camp here in Malawi. We normally call it Zaleka refugee camp. And I am also the General Secretary for Zaleka Youth Organization. And for those who knew this organization before, it was called Zaleka Youth Congress, but now it has changed to Zaleka Youth Organization. That's what you are seeing that name. And we are working here at Zaleka and also in Malawi. And myself, I'm the General Secretary for this organization here in Malawi. And this organization was founded in 2015 by the students of at that time was Regis University, and it was found with the mission to uplift the youth through their talents. Because in the community we saw that youth were left behind, and also we are not even involved in the decision making or decision taking, and also they were like considered as troublemakers in the community. So this was just an initiative to empower the youth to be heard in the community and also to be valuable in order to express their values and also to uplift the talents that they have as youth. Now, the vision of this organization is to make a community where the youth are self-reliant and also they are living in peace among them and also within their community. And we have like our objectives is to empower youth to participate in the decision-making process in their community. So we established the relationship between youth and the host community. And this is what we do. So at first we had like a youth congress. It means a youth gathering that we were gathering all the youths to talk about their issues and to see where we need the assistance for them. So that's what we were doing during that time. But now, Zaleka Youth Organization, we have several departments. Here are the departments that we have currently. We have Judo for Peace. I think most of you have heard about Judo at Zaleka. So we are the first people who brought Judo here in Malawi in collaboration with the Judo Association of Malawi, Malawi Olympic Committee, and also we have this organization like UNHCR and also International Judo Federation, and even the Japanese ambassador. So all of them, they are just the partners and the organizations that they were helping us in implementing this Judo for Peace. And Judo for Peace now is not only in Malawi because our athletes have traveled around the world. We can mention like Zambia. In 2019, we went to Zambia and we had some of the experience with our colleagues in Maheba refugee camp and even those from Lusaka. We were just doing all of us together in exchanging experiences about Judo. And Judo for Peace is it's just a project that is in the refugee camps. That's why we have here, we have in South Africa, and also we have it in Zambia. So those are the places where you find the Judo for Peace. Apart from this, we have what we call modeling. So modeling is just a way that we occupy the youth to showcase their talents and also have the experience about what they know about runway and even a catwalk. Yeah, then we have dancing crews, like we have the youths that are practicing how to dance in order to take the stress away and also gain even a small income from what they do from their talents. And then we have the vocational trainings or vocational skill trainings that we empower the youth through knowledge to know how to do small things that they can bring income in them and also their families where they live. Yeah, so these are the photos about our organization. As you can see, this is our dancing crew where they were just dancing around the camp. And we have the Lusaka photo that we took in Lusaka when we were there in 2019. And then we have like this one was the project that we started also, like we called it Girls Call for Code. So that it was just a project that we brought in. And then we have this photo is a Tumaini Festival, during Tumaini Festival. And we were part of that as models. That's why we have that, what we call fashion in the dust during the Tumaini Festival. Yeah, so we have, as I said, I'm the general secretary here. So what I do, like when we have several competitions, I'm there to provide technical support to the youth and whatever. So here are the people who are working with us, or the organization that we're working together in Dzaleka Youth Organization. So we have UNHCR, we have Plan International, Malawi Olympic Committee, International Judo Federation, Judo Association of Malawi, and also the government of Malawi, without leaving behind the Japanese ambassador. All of them, they are our partners, our organizations that are helping us in implementing all the 4 activities or 4 departments that we have in Dzaleka Youth Organization. Thank you very much for having this opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Boniface, for sharing that. All right, so now we want to go into the discussion and the debate that we have titled RLOs and the need for meaningful ways to engage these local actors. I see questions already coming in the chat. Please feel free to share those questions. We'll definitely answer them. But I think you guys have been hearing a lot about Dzaleka refugee camp. Many of us have been mentioning Dzaleka refugee camp. And I'm sure that not a lot of people here in the call know the region or the camp in general. And I believe that when we are trying to create a framework or an approach, we need to understand the context in which we are working. In the medical field, they say you have to get a diagnosis first before you prescribe the correct prescription, right? So I have a short video that I want to share with you guys so that you understand the community in which myself and other refugee leaders are working in. Let me share my sound quickly. All right, so this is a very short video so that you guys get an idea of Dzaleka refugee camp and the community that we are working in.
Welcome to Dzaleka.
Dzaleka refugee camp in Malawi is home to 51,000 people from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, Somalia, and Ethiopia. Malawi remains open to hosting displaced people, although national law limits refugees' freedom of movement, their right to work, and their integration. Each refugee receives survival food and cash assistance at the daily equivalent of 25 grams of porridge flour and 120 Malawi kwacha, corresponding to 15 US cents. Although some have found means to supplement the UN rations, for the majority of refugees, the legal restrictions are simply too limiting, and they rely on the little aid they...
All right, great. So that is the video, and I hope you guys at least have a picture of the situation that is in Dzaleka, the context that many of these organizations are working in. And today's topic is basically RLOs and the need for meaningful engagement with these local actors. Because from pre-existing research or anecdotal evidence, people have observed observed that one very impactful mechanism to providing a service in an affected community is that people need to provide that service through the people that are living in the community and have the experience. So we want to look at how can this approach, or how is this approach effective and impactful? We want to also look at what are some of the misconceptions that are around resourcing refugees and refugee-led organizations directly, and how can we bring these resources to initiatives and organizations that are being led by refugees? Because these people, to be honest, are at the front line of the community. So I want to start off my question to Collete. Collete I call her a unicorn because she's one of the few women-led refugee organizations in Dzaleka. So it's very, very, very rare to see women in the community running these great initiatives. So Collete, like your project is in Dzaleka, a camp that was designed for 10 to 12,000 people, but now homes 52,000 people. When I was there, the data says that there's 52,000 people in Dzaleka refugee camp. What do you feel are the benefits of delivering a service or providing a program through an RLO or working with an RLO?
Thank you, Emmanuel. One of the benefits that I think of working with an RLO is empowerment. We all know being in a refugee camp is not easy. People are stressed, some are depressed, and most people actually lose hope and they think that they cannot be able to do anything. But then this could be much of an opportunity if organizations come and work with RLOs, because they'll be like they're empowering them and helping them to realize that they can do something, and that would also help them to be creative, and not just creative, they'll come up with ideas that are going to help fellow refugees, help themselves, and also help the host community. And they can also help the world as a whole. The other thing is that refugees or RLOs have a genuine understanding of the experiences and everything that fellow refugees are going through. Therefore, they have the idea of how refugees want to be helped and what is really needed in the refugee camp. Therefore, I think that working with the RLOs will be really, really helpful to refugees, because first of all, it's giving them hope. Second of all, it's opening room for creation. And third of all, it's also bringing people together. And like I said, empowerment. We have so many girls in the camp who, when they finish their Form 4, they're like, okay, there's nothing else I can do. Maybe I should just get married, because even if I further my education, what am I going to do? I'm not going to get a better job or anything. This is from experience. I'm talking from experience. I have friends who say that to me. And as a fellow girl, I get really hurt when I hear men saying that women are not capable of doing anything, when I know that they're actually capable of doing something, and seeing the women themselves letting themselves down to say, okay, we only getting married, we cannot do anything. So from there, I got the idea to say, okay, what if I do something and be the example and become an example to fellow women? As you can see in the group that I'm in, I'm the only girl with two guys, like two men. So the aim here is to try to motivate and empower other women to say that there's something that you can do, because I wasn't born having everything that I have right now. You need to step up and then somebody will come and then give you a hand. Therefore, if other organizations are working with RLOs, they're not just providing what refugees need, but they are also helping them to realize themselves, to find something in them, to create something, awaken the creativity in them, awaken the power they have to change. Like I always love the quote that Mahatma Gandhi used. He said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Therefore, if everybody is to have this mindset, I think it's going to be more than just a refugee camp. And maybe we'll not be calling it a refugee camp anymore. We'll start calling it a creative refugee camp. Because as far as I know, Dzaleka camp has earned the name as the world of talent, the home of talent. Therefore, if it can be called the world, a home of talent, then why can't we all take a stake? It's not just about talent, but it can also be about creativity. I believe that everybody can stand up and then contribute and make change. And I think from there, also, all that a person needs is a little push and maybe a word to tell you that you can do this, you have the potential. I think what refugees need is to be let know that they have the potential to do something meaningful other than just being a refugee in a refugee camp.
So inspiring. So inspiring. I mean, it's really rare, as Collete said, to see a woman running such amazing projects that are impactful in the community. And yeah, thank you so much, Collete, for that. I feel like myself and Dikonzo, we always want this thing whereby, people all over the world, the community that is serving us and helping us to see us as equals, to see us that as we have potential. UNHCR, the UNICO project, saw the potential that is in us. And today we're in Italy, Rome study. So basically that's what Collete is saying. By doing that, you're empowering, you're enabling long-term solutions for refugees. Not just handouts, not just emergency aid, but actually enabling long-term solutions for refugees. So, because of this, actually a really nice question from Nadia here. Do you want to take these questions? What barriers are RLOs facing in terms of winning grants and sourcing funding that are traditionally offered to international NGOs? Are we having success? Are there grants that are specifically for RLOs? It's a tough question, but yeah, feel free to answer it.
Okay. Thank you so much for the question. Okay. There are so many barriers that we as refugee-led organizations are facing in terms of securing grants and funding, because there are so many things going on in the sector, and especially when you identify yourself as someone living in a refugee camp and an organization that is run by refugees. Many donors or funders do not really get it. I have participated in so many initiatives where refugee-led organizations in the camp, for example, for Fountain of Hope and other organizations that were trying to apply for grants and fund, they come to a point when they cannot get the fund because of just their identity of saying, I am a refugee leader, I'm living in a refugee camp. Identity is the first barrier. Donors think if we give money to these guys in the refugee camp, they're going to misuse the funds, and maybe in one way or another, because of one reason, they will not be able to use the funds for the purposes where we intend the grant to be for. That's the first barrier, that which I understand myself being a refugee and also being a leader working in an organization which we have proved wrong, because we always do better to make sure that we are bettering our communities. First of all, when I am a refugee and I am working for a refugee-led organization, that refugee-led organization is in my blood, and my community that I'm serving is my soul. I cannot take a knife and and stabbed myself. That being the first reason. Do not trust refugee-led organizations. They're like, oh, these guys, they are refugees. What if they close the refugee camp? This we heard it from one. It was one donor who gave us a feedback when we were applying for a grant. We're like, we heard rumors about the Leka camp to be closed, and the government wanted to locate it. So what if this camp is relocated? Are you going to be able to do this? So that brought in some doubt for them to fund, which means the context as well in which we are living, they do not trust us. But refugees and refugee leaders, they are these guys who are very, very, very much organized and they know what to do. For example, let's take the example of ATER. We are refugees, but we are not doing everything as refugees. We are not refugees actually in terms of the level of intellectuality that we have now and what we can bring to the table. We are refugees, that is just a status that we can break anytime, but that does not prevent us from getting a grant. And to answer the second part of the question, whether, let me see the question again. No, whether we have access to it, yeah, we do have some opportunities where you can apply to funds, but again, it comes back to us to know whether you get it or not, because of all these underlying reasons that people have and donors have. We have access, but the access is not that access of giving us the opportunity to secure funds. You apply and you will get feedback that is negative. But if there was a space for us, maybe defeating that ideology of refugees not being able to manage funds, that should really help a lot in terms of us securing the funds and having access to it. And I understand there are so many funding opportunities that are there for refugees and for refugee-led organizations. But again, we can still go back to the same idea of us not being able to secure those funds because of our background. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you so much. Nadia, I hope he has answered the question. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to share in the chat, but I'm sure close to the end of the session, there will be some Q&A, and feel free to unmute yourself to ask your questions directly to anyone. All right, so Boniface, from your introduction, I'm sure your organization has seen considerable growth with the networks that you've been able to build, working with various government departments, UN agencies, and other NGOs. I just want to know, what has been your experience working with these large-scale organizations, and what key things have you gathered from these partnerships from an RLOs perspective?
All right, thank you so much. Of course, our organization has worked with so many other organizations like UNHCR, Plan International, all those that are shown, to the government of Malawi. So this has given me a picture of those organizations and how they are working with the local refugee-led organizations. So here are some of them, my experience. Myself, I'm going to just have both sides, positive and negative. I have a reason why I'm doing this, because we need change. That's why I'm putting the both sides. So on the positive side, I can see that those organizations, they are more supportive on the implementation of projects. For example, here at Zaleka, whenever you have any project, those organizations, they are there to help you. It means they are there to provide support, to provide anything that you need, more especially these like material things. They are ready to provide so that your project can be run. And also they're there to see, to evaluate the projects that you are doing, to see if that is for the development of the community or it's just for your own personal. But when they see it is your own personal, they cannot help you. That's why I'm saying it is supportive, because they are just looking for the most important projects that will benefit many people in the community. And another thing that I have seen very important from my experience working with those donors and their organizations, that they are strict to their policies. For example, here in Malawi, if the government says we don't want to do this, it means no one can go beyond that. I will give an example. We had a certain project that we wanted to do here at Dzaleka, and it was the festival. We wanted to do the festival, but the first time that we went to UNHCR, they told us, no, you need you need permission from the government. And we went to the government to ask for permission for us to do that. But the first question they asked us is that, do you guys know the things that are supposed to be done before you do the festival? So we're like, what is that? So they said, no, we need to make sure that you are registered, and also you have all the protocols that the government has put in place. And you know that now it's the time for coronavirus, and you cannot do any activity without proper measures. So according to that, because it was totally the time of COVID-19, we tried to talk to them so that they can allow us, but they said, no, we are strict to the policies and there's no way we can change. So for that time, for us, it was very hard, because it stopped us from doing what we wanted to do. But on the other hand, it was very good, because it was among the policies that the government has put in place, and no one has to just ignore it. All of us, we need to abide to the laws that have been put in place. And I see that many organizations, they're very strict on the policies that they put in place. And also I've seen that those organizations, they have the good command on refugee protection. For example, we are talking about the police that we have here. They are there, they are assisting the refugees to give them the protection, to give them all the support that they need. And if there is something that is not going well, they're there to help. And also they don't sleep, so that they provide good assistance to the refugees. And that's why you see now the camp is very quiet. Because if you look properly at this Dzaleka refugee camp, we have people from different countries, people from different backgrounds, and everyone has his or her own behavior. So according to that, you can see that if they were not, if we didn't have the protection here at the Dzaleka refugee camp, it means people would be killing one another without any control. And also, even the issue of stealing could be a big issue in this camp. And also, the problem of prostitution could be very high. Even though now we have the same problem, but maybe it's because of the large number of people that we currently have. But now the government is doing their own part to provide protection to refugees. And even the UNHCR also is assisting and giving protection to refugees for their own life. And also they have what we call a continuous support on career development or career growth. This one I will talk in the way that, for example, let me give an example for primary school. Let's say Katuza Primary School. What I have seen there is that teachers are employed, but after the employment, even though if they are Malawian teacher or refugee teachers, all of them, they are there. GRS is there to provide like in-service trainings. So through those trainings, they make sure that they teach those teachers, or they give the teachers some of the skills that they miss, or they give them another knowledge, additional knowledge to strengthen their work. So this is something that we have the support, or they are supporting them in career growth. And also, let's take an example of Plan International. Plan International also is an organization that has many trainings in the camp. Like you can hear, they are providing like human rights training. They have even these child protection trainings. So those small trainings, they make their employees more expert and give more ability to work in a very narrow and a very nice way that the community benefit. And that is something that I call a positive experience that I have seen from those organizations. So as I said, I have also the negative side of them. So on the negative side, I can say that those organizations, they focus on teaching children their rights and not the responsibility. In this way, in this point, I can see that maybe you can be very much confused why I'm saying this. Let me just explain it in short. Here at Zalega refugee camp, we have like children. Some of them are studying, some of them are not studying. So what happens is that there are some organizations that are coming in. They are teaching these children about their rights. To say you have the right to report any problem or any violence that you have in your homes. It means if your father beats you, you have police here, you have other organization that you can come to report so that your father can be caught. So because of this, the children have grown with that mindset to say, I'm protected and nothing I can do. Oh, my father or my mother can do nothing to make me let me say to give me like discipline or to discipline me. They cannot do it because we have the police and we have some other organizations that are protecting me. Now, those organizations, they are giving them their rights. Of course, it's good. But now they forget that they have their responsibilities also that they need to do. So most of times, those people, they don't focus on their responsibilities. They only focus on their rights. As the result, you can see that many children are not going to school because if the father tells the child, say, let's go to school, they are saying, no, I cannot go because they know if they beat them, there is somewhere that they can report and the father will have problem. And the fathers or parents are always afraid of disciplining their own children. As a result, you find many children, they are on the street, they don't go to school because the fathers, they fail to discipline their own children because of some of the organizations that are helping them or they are supporting them in such things. And lastly, I have a point that I also saw like an experience I had. And this point, even Dikonzo have mentioned it, it's about the lack of trust. This is many points because when you are a refugee and those organizations, they come or you ask for money for you to implement a certain project. They say, okay, it's okay, we are going to assist, but they cannot give you the cash straight. Why? Because they know you are the refugee and they think if they give you money, you are going to use it in a different way that is very, very contrary to what you asked for. So this lack of trust, it's also an issue. And sometimes they think maybe all the refugee-led organizations are not registered organizations. And that's why you find that they have that kind of doubt to say, if we give this one money, is he going to use it in a proper way, or we are going just to waste our money without any profit? So those are some of the experiences that I've got from the organizations that I have worked with and all the course of my work in Zalega refugee camp and even around Malawi. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you really for sharing those detailed examples and key points about your experience. Now, I hear the word trust. I hear the word, believing that refugee-led organizations or refugees themselves can run great programs. I think from our experience with Dikonzo, we've been at both sides of the spectrum in terms of one organization decided to do due diligence and find out if we are registered. They wanted to know how big our team is. Do we have the experience? And on the other side, we had like an organization that didn't really ask for any due diligence. They simply just somebody recommended us to them. So they were like, okay, we heard from someone that you guys are doing this. Would you mind working with us on the student partnership? So what I think Boniface is indicating is that most of the time, just because you hear that this is an organization run by a refugee, you don't even do the due diligence, which is very unfair. So that misconception is what is becoming a barrier for many RLOs. They are just in a state where they are not developing, they are not growing, because that cloud of misconception is there. People don't even engage them to find out if they are registered, to find out if they can actually do the work. So looking at the situation now in Zalega, you can hear from Boniface, you can hear from Collete, you can hear from our team at AHAB. RLOs are often filling the gaps that are left by international service providers. Okay, and also we need to realize that we are succeeding and supporting our communities to address the many social, economic, and political consequences of being displaced. So RLOs are able to do it. But now I think there's one question that I was asking myself at the beginning of the year: what is the perceived impact of RLOs by community members themselves? The refugees that we are serving, what are they saying about us? So before leaving Italy, I spent a lot of time speaking to people, finding out how they see the services that are provided by other refugees, how they see refugees running their organization. Is all things fair? And of course, you always have some that believe that RLOs are doing great, and others who believe RLOs are not doing great. But if you look at the positive side, you see many people are saying some of the same things. They're saying that services from RLOs are highly accessible to community members, including those with significant access challenges. So I can give you an example. When you're working at the large-scale organization, you sometimes have like a 9-to-5 contract. You're working Monday to Saturday or to Friday. You have working hours. You're going to an office, things like that. So outside of those working hours, you're not reachable. Outside of that time, somebody can contact you if they need some emergency services. But for RLOs and the leaders running those organizations, our community is our office. So I remember back in the days when I started off, it was like around 9 p.m. An older woman, a mother, she's like a mother to me. She came to me around 9 p.m. She's like, Nakosa chakula. In Swahili, that means I don't have anything to eat this evening. If you don't help me, basically, my children go the night without sleep, without food. So as a leader, you look at this woman who's confiding in you this challenge that she's having. And as a leader, you cannot say, it's outside of my working hours. I think I'll get back to you when I'm back at work in the morning. No, we are always there in the community, and we always have to find a way to provide significant solutions to people who are facing challenges, emergency kind of challenges. And the other point that I learned from my observation is that RLOs navigate and often overcome the legal, political, and economic challenges. The fact that we are able to run these organizations despite the discrimination, despite the restrictive laws, is something that I think is really key. We are able to overcome all those restrictiveness and challenges that are there in the legal and political area, and we are still able to build and run these organizations. And also, another thing that I hear from community members is that we're helping people access income in the face of very challenging economies. For example, RLOs basically provide better paid opportunities for volunteers and staff. I think international organizations sometimes have a cap. Maybe they do want to pay refugees a better stipend, better incentive, but due to some legal issues, they are not able to do that. But as RLOs, we are able to kind of overcome those kind of barriers and ensure that, no, this person at least is getting something that can help them. Imagine in an environment where you're receiving 15 US cents per day. How can a person survive on 15 US cents per day in Zareka? That's the reality. So these are the things that RLOs are kind of solving. These are the gaps that RLOs are filling. But now the question is, what are the next steps? So Collete and Boniface kind of prepared their recommendations. But before we go to the recommendations, I would like to open the floor to anyone who has questions for myself, Boniface, anything that you guys want to know in detail about the work that we are doing and how RLOs are solving the many challenges in our community. All right, I don't think there are any questions. If there aren't any questions, I think we can go ahead with the recommendations. What are the next steps? What do you want to see, to see happen in the RLO space? Collete, do you want to go ahead and share your recommendations?
Sure, Emmanuel. The first recommendation I would give is to build trust. If major donors or organizations are coming to work with refugee-led organizations, the first thing is to build trust. Like we all know, for every successful partnership, what you need is trust. So I would recommend that they form a partnership that is full of honesty and openness, and they should be able to communicate openly about their limitations. And that also brings me to another factor about trust. I'd give an example here in some refugee-led organizations that are here in the Dzaleka camp. I think this is a misconception that organizations or major donors have. They think that anything that's called an organization is what is registered. When like roughly, I think we have almost 600 refugee-led organizations, and you can find that it's only 100 of them that are registered. So I wanted to emphasize on this point because you'd find that there is one refugee-led organization that is not registered, and that is simply because of the rule that comes to say for a refugee-led organization to be registered, they need to have a Malawian or a host community member as a part of that organization. And you'd find that most refugees do not want to do this because being a refugee and you are limited to so many things, and if at the end of the day you are not able to run the organization anymore, you find that the idea has been stolen from you and it has been used by the host community, and then it's realized or recognized as a Malawian idea or maybe a Malawian organization, which I think many refugee-led organizations are scared of, and that's why they are not registering, because from my perspective, I think it's not just about having a registered organization, but it's about the creativities and the ideas and the aims that are coming behind that particular idea. And that also brings me to another recommendation that says, having an idea is not knowing how to run something. Like, you'd find so many refugee organizations here that have very awesome ideas, but they do not know how to run an organization. So I would like to recommend to major donors and other organizations that if you're coming to work with refugee-led organizations, I think you should provide capacity building in order to provide them with the skills and expertise that they need in order for them to be able to run these organizations and the projects that you have. The final recommendation I would have is to have an eco-partnership. If you're coming to work with refugee-led organizations, you should have eco-partnership. Like, for example, in decision-making, you do not decide something without having your partner. It should be more of a partnership. And when we talk of partnership, we mean you say something, I say something, and then we come to a discussion. And at the end of the discussion, we have an agreement. So I'm trying to suggest that, or recommend that, in whatever decisions that are concerning the projects that the refugee-led organizations are working with the organizations, there should be an eco-partnership or an eco-say in whatever projects they're doing, because they are all involved, and they also, as partners, that means you have one goal that you want to reach. And by doing so, I'm so sure that there's going to be a very strong partnership with very successful projects and everything that the goals and aims are. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Trust is really something that we've been emphasizing a lot on in terms of the first step is working together, trusting each other. Boniface, you want to go ahead? You're muted. Boniface, can you unmute? You are muted.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity again. My recommendations are very simple, because when we work for the change. So if we are working without any change, it means nothing we are doing. So I have a few recommendations that the organizations need to do so that we have a good start on our work in the community. First of all, I have a recommendation that says policy change. When I say the policy change, I mean the organizations and even the government, they have to think about the refugees and they remove some of the restrictions that they have put in place for them to be ready for doing other things that they want in their community. For example, I would talk about this issue of freedom of movement. Here in the camp, when someone is or if someone wants to go out for business, for example, or for work, they don't allow them because they know that you are the refugee. And also, the only permit or the only document that they give you to travel with is just the document that it takes you from here to Lilongwe or from here to Doha, but you cannot go beyond that. So according to that, you can find that people, they are very, very compacted in one place. And whenever they try to look for their good or to look for their life, like looking for jobs or looking for businesses, they go out of Lilongwe or they go out of Dzaleka and they are caught there, they're imprisoned for a long time. I have seen many refugees when they want to go to work, for example, in Mozambique. But because they are not given that chance to have the permit, or they don't have that way, or they don't have that freedom of movement from this refugee camp, they are caught in the borders, or even here in Malawi, they are caught in several parts of Malawi, and their imprisonment, and sometimes even they can be imprisoned there without their families knowing that they are there, and they spend all the time there without their family knowing. So this is something that needs to be changed. The refugees have to have that freedom of movement so that they do whatever they want in this refugee camp. Because I have seen that if they want to go somewhere, the process of having the travel document is a very hard process. It means you can do like the whole year working on that, and at the end of the day, you don't get anything. So this is something very bad. So we live here at Dzaleka, and many of them die here without any support. So policy change, it's very important so that people can have the freedom of movement, so that they do their businesses, and also they look for jobs for their families and even themselves. Another recommendation that I have is like strengthening the relationship between the organizations and the refugee-led organizations. So this means that there must be the relationship, or they have to work together. These organizations and the refugee-led organizations, they have to be like one, hold hands together, and also implement all the projects together without counting like this one is a refugee, or this is a Malawian, or this is from anywhere, but they have to be together in order to make or to have what the refugees have, because the refugees have many knowledges that can be useful for the development of their community, and even the other community like Malawian community. It can be very helpful. Another recommendation is that we need to engage and also support the capacity building of the refugee-led organizations. This is for them to strengthen the community development. I'm saying this because many refugee-led organizations, they are there to overlook all the works that the community needs. And also they are focused more especially in the community development. So when those organizations give them the support to build them, or to give them the capacity to do their own things as refugee-led organizations, it can be one way of strengthening their work in the community, and also one way of making their work like useful in the community. So this is another area that we need to think of. And also we needed to develop the ability to listen to the concerns of refugees and provide guidance. For example, in my organization, the Dzaleka Youth Organization, I said it before that we are doing the Dzaleka Youth Congress. So it was a youth congress where we gathered youths and we listened to their concerns, their problems, their stories, in order to provide the best possible solutions. Because we did not come up with the judo for peace, we did not come up with the modeling and even the trainings that we were doing, including even the dancing schools, by chance or by just the thinking of it. But it was through the stories that the youths were telling us that we were able to identify the main activities that they need for their development. We were thinking about what did they tell us, and also see that what can we do for us to give them the chance to live in a peaceful way in this community. That's why we say it is good for us to provide the entertainment and also give them like sports so that they can be busy with this and they forget about other risky behaviors in their community. And also, it's very important for the organizations to advocate for refugees to have work permits in order to eradicate poverty and unemployment. This one is very important, and I can connect this point to the first point that I said about the policy change, because here in the camp we are called refugees, and every work that we do is like volunteering work. So regardless of what you know, what you have, regardless of what you studied or what is your degree, but as long as you are called a refugee, it means you have that name of being called a volunteer. So this is very, very, it's a very, very bad thing, because people, they are not even, the refugees, they don't show up what they have. They don't show their knowledge because of being called refugees. And also, what they get because of having that name of volunteers, they call it a stipend. It means it is a limited salary that they get from whatever they do. So you can find that Malawians and the refugees, they are doing the same work. But now, when it comes to payment, Malawians, they paid more than the refugees. So this kind of thing, you can see that they bring a kind of stress in refugees. And you can find that many of them, they are suffering from stress, and some of them even kill themselves because they think that they are left behind, and also they are not considered as the human beings. And you can agree with me that any other human being has a right. We have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that it applies for everyone. So regardless to who you are, what you do, or what you are known for, but all of us, we are human beings. But if we are treating each other in a very different way, it means we are also bringing problem to ourselves. So the work permits, they are very important for refugees, because when they have the work permit, they can have freedom to work and get a good salary for themselves. I've seen here in Malawi, UNHCR implemented this project to give the refugees the work permit. But I don't know up to now where it ended, because even the CRRF that was there, it was like comprehensive refugee framework that was more especially focused on giving this refugee, or advocating for refugees to have the permit or work permits. But up to now, I don't even see those kind of advocacy. I don't even hear any kind of advocacy about these work permits. Up to now, there is nothing. So we need also as leaders to wake up and advocate for this, so that refugees can be given that chance of working as people who have knowledge, and also get the good salary to strengthen their families while they are living here at Saleka Refugee Camp. And the other recommendation, let me call it the final recommendation for me, is partnership building. I think my friend Collete, as he said this, and I'm repeating because this is very important. Partnership is something that makes the organizations to thrive, because we cannot do everything alone without a friend or without someone. For example, here at the refugee camp, we are refugees. And when we are doing, like myself, I have the Zalega youth organization, and I say, okay, I want to work to myself without anyone else. It is not possible, because I have a lot, and also I have a lot of people who needs to be assisted. So how can I do my work alone? That's why it brings me to the point to say, I have to look for the organizations that can help me to do that. That's why those organizations I have mentioned, like UNHCR, Plan International, Judo Association of Malawi, International Judo Federation, all of them, they came in providing some of the assistance so that we move or we do our activities without any problem. But if I was alone, maybe I couldn't even reach today talking about this Zareka Youth organization. It could have ended long time ago, because the vision, if you take it alone, then it fades. But if you are in a group and you are like sharing experience with the other friends, like other organizations, and also asking them about how to go about your work that you are doing, I think things go smooth and things go very fast without any problem. So those are my recommendations, and thank you for that.
Wow, thank you so much. I really love the way you express yourself, and I can hear the passion that you have to see change. I've been taking some notes, and I've been listening to your recommendations. You talk about policy changes and advocacy. We need to see more political will from the government and more people advocating for policy change. I hear you mention access to flexible funding. That's something that's really important for RLOs. Myself, Dikonzo, Boniface, Collete, collectively we have close to 3 decades of experience working with refugees. It's not the day we register the organization that determines how long we've been working with refugees. We grew up there, we've been there, we've lived there, so we have the experience. So the trust needs to be there, and we need to be able to access flexible funding. And to be honest, running a program through RLOs is really cost efficient. So it's always a win-win. So another really important thing that both of you guys mentioned is capacity building. I think something that needs to be reinforced in Zareka is RLO monitoring groups and networks. So these are groups of people that can provide the mentorship, can provide the training, that can provide the capacity building to large-scale RLOs that are still in growth stage, RLOs that are still at startup phase. So I think these RLO monitoring groups are really essential to ensure the success of these organizations and to make sure that these organizations are taking accountability. That's something that's really important. When there's trust, there also needs to be accountability. So these networks can be something that can be reinforced or introduced. And also, one thing that both the team, my colleagues mentioned, is RLO to RLO partnership. That's something I think we sometimes ignore, right? RLOs that are in a better position. RLOs like Zareka Youth Organization or Boniface, they have the experience. They've been there. They've worked with various organizations. I think there should be a time where we should be helping these other RLOs that are still small and underdeveloped. So this is something that I think myself, Collete, Dikonzo, and Boniface will be discussing on how we can build a network where RLOs all over Zareka are working together on specific projects where we see their visions are aligned, their goals are aligned, so that they are helping each other and opening access to certain resources. So those are the 4 points that I have. I think, we still have a bit of time. If there are any questions, feel free to share. If not, I'll just ask Camila, maybe we can close a bit early if there aren't any questions.
Absolutely. When you wish, we can do the closing. Yeah. Okay. Well, so Emmanuel, Boniface, Collete, Dikonzo, and everyone who joined us, thank you so much. I think this has been a very interesting session, and I'm thinking from other sessions that we've had, and also from last year, I don't think we really have talked about this issue as much, and a very necessary one, and also listening from you all that are on the front line of the field. And so I'm left with a lot of learnings, and I think definitely the audience too. And so a lot of appreciation for everyone's work. And I'm just going to share our website for you to continue to joining to different events. This week too is packed with events, and for anyone who joined us late, no worries, everything will be shared on the Migration Summit YouTube channel soon. So this will continue, we will continue the conversation over there. So thank you so much. If there's any last thing, I invite everyone to say goodbye in whatever language you wish, and we'll see you around. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. Au revoir. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. 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 Bye.